by insisting he accept their lies as real, by insisting he was never to his people tied, by dictating exactly what he might feel, by permitting haughty joy, but never pride. They believed a lion could be brought to heel, that a lion could from his courage be pried, that the lion himself would learn to kneel, that a lion would not care even if his line died, that the lion himself would accept such a deal. In the end, it was only to themselves they had lied.
All right. Good morning. Salute from the kingdom of the Son of God and Jesus Christ. This will be part 2 of my discussion with Laura Corvino, centering around the Zionist blackmailing of Elon Musk. And we also talk about other stuff. So here's part 2.
Well, you know that companies, I had a video that now I don't remember, is one of my old video, that companies is like what is happening like Elon Musk was talking about, because companies, if they don't do the propaganda of transgenderism and gay, etc., if they don't they don't comply with all this propaganda that the Zionists push on us, those companies end up in troubles because they stop the advertising, like they are blackmailing Elon Musk, and also there are problems with giving them loans through the bank, and companies cannot function if they don't receive loans. And I have this old video that now, if I found it, maybe I put it on again, that the companies, when they don't comply with all these genderism, transgenderism, all this garbage, they give them some black point, dark point, and then they punish them financially. This is mafia. If you ask me, this is mafia. Is financial terrorism. How you call it? It's financial terrorism.
Yeah, for sure. And they'll try to get you blackballed from whatever industry you work in. They'll get you blackballed. In some cases, like me, I've had separation from family members because of my stance out against the Jews. And the thing is, like you said, when you get older, you care less, and you're willing now to lose everything, because at the end of the day, what good is it if you, like you said, compromise that you sell your soul for the good goyim tokens to be a good little goy, you know? And that's what it's amounting to. People are going to have to make choices as these times go forward, right? We as Americans have to decide, what do we want for our country? Because it's slipping away, right? It's slipping away. We're seeing white replacement. They keep allowing these illegals to come in by the truckloads. They're fighting age men, so it's not even families. And even if it was families, it still is not good. And our cities are third world conditions now, big cities. And you have a government that hates you. If you're white, your government hates you. Not just in America. Look what's happening in Ireland. That used to be all white people, pretty much. All white Irish people. And now they're having their own citizens are getting stabbed by these migrants. So it's either now or never. You have to stand up and fight. And I think a lot of people have been conditioned that, and Laura, I wrestle with this too because I'm a Christian. Like, do we just turn the other cheek, or do we actually stand up and fight? And my thing is that there is a time to turn the other cheek, but there's a time to fight. And when it comes to the existence of your people, you have to fight, because nobody's, like you said, it's natural for them to want to take over. They're not going to ask our permission. They're not going to say, hey, we're not going to, we'll still let you have this amount of power. It doesn't work like that. You have to stand up and take it. And this country is European people's country.
It is. Look, let's do one last video and then we close, so we don't make it too long. If it's okay for you, if you have something to say, okay. So this is a video of a guy, I love TikTok. This is another video of a guy that saying a lot of stuff that makes a lot of sense, and he reason like you pretty much, similar to the way you think. So let me 1 second share this video, and then we comment on that, and then we close. So 1 second, I bring it up. It's a while that I don't do those things. I forgot. Let me see here. Okay, here it is. And now let me go and share what this guy is saying. That is it's quite interesting, the stuff he say. He look like you in a way about the same topic. Yes.
This has got to be some of the most concrete evidence that being called an anti-Semite is the absolute worst possible thing that can happen to you. If you're in business, especially if you have a business like X.com that you want to start into financial services and you make rocket ships. An American billionaire meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu. Yes, that's right. The Israeli Nostradamus, who predicted the fall of the World Trade Center in his book in 1995.
So I wrote a book in 1995, and I said that if the West doesn't wake up to the nature of militant Islam, the next thing you'll see is the militant Islam is bringing down the World Trade Center.
Look, how do you think this guy is Nostradamus? How did he know? I think he put it down. He took down the World Trade Center.
Yeah, that's what they say. It could have been a Mossad plan.
It's too specific. I mean, I can understand if he would say, hey, they will attack the West. No, they will take down the World Trade Center, and then it happened. Yeah. This is too specific. Well, let's go on.
And then when it came to pass, magically used that to encourage Americans to seek out weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist in Iraq. 1 million Iraqis.
I believe that a clear connection between Saddam and September 11th must be established before we have a right to prevent the next September. Well, I think not. There is no question whatsoever that Saddam is seeking and is working and is advancing towards the development of nuclear weapons. No question whatsoever.
That's the guy the American billionaire is meeting with right now. Why? To clear his name. Because he's been called an anti-Semite. Because when he says something rational about the situation going on over there,
if you kill somebody's child in Gaza, you've made at least a few Hamas members.
He is over there to clear his name, that Elon Musk has access to the internet beyond most of our imaginations. He can aggregate data. He can run trends. He could put all this into Grok and have Grok give him the answer. He knows the truth about what's going on here. He knows the history. He knows the situation. He knows the reality. He has his finger on the pulse in a way that most of us on this planet wish we could. He is literally building the internet. For him to go over there and act, oh yes, this video is very compelling. Thank you for showing me your little video file here of why I should feel this way. This is perfectly on brand for Israeli propaganda, this kind of bullshit. You know, we're going to walk around a billionaire and all his followers are going to be like, oh yeah, we changed our mind. People who follow Elon Musk don't look to him for the answers. I know, shocking. They're young people who use the internet. And we all look at the same data and we come to similar conclusions. And that's what makes us agree or disagree. Suddenly the data didn't change. None of the evidence has changed. None of the knowledge that we have about the situation has changed just because you're over there shaking his hand. All we see is a guy who doesn't feel this way showing up and putting on a necklace and being like, hey, yeah, I'm going to wear this necklace.
Thank you very much.
Look at this. I'm going to wear this necklace until your children come home. He's not there because he's worried about the death of innocent children. He's not there because he's worried about of innocent civilians. Because if that was the case, he should have flown a little bit south where the most epic tragedy you can imagine is occurring. But the thing is, going to Gaza doesn't clear his name in business. It doesn't open any doors. It doesn't remove any threats. The Palestinians don't have anything on Elon Musk. But you know who does have something on Elon Musk? The Western governments and their dictator-in-chief, Benjamin Netanyahu. This is so clear. It's so obvious to anybody who has an open mind. If you're busy being pro-Republican or pro-Democrat or whatever, you know, pro-bullshit, pro-Israel, pro-Palestine, whatever, you know, sports team, you're not clear. Anybody who, I'm pro-Israel, I'm pro-Palestine, no, you're not. Okay? You're a cheerleader for a sports team. You haven't thought about it at all. Because if you have thought about it, you wouldn't label yourself as pro any of this shit. Especially if you're an American citizen. Because all we are pawns being manipulated. We're just in a cave staring at shadows on a wall. You're pro what? Pro the shadows you've seen on the wall? We're being manipulated and used. What's going on over there is unbelievable. I can't even sleep. I can't make any other videos. I can't do shit because of what's going on over there. Because anybody who really opens their mind to the reality of what's happening over there is going to be paralyzed by it. Not sitting in a comfy chair with all the blue, everything's blue. Oh my God, I got my necklace. Had these necklaces printed up and stamped out, and it's a whole thing and a ceremony, and I'm never going to, all this bullshit propaganda. No, this isn't real. Just like all Israeli propaganda, it's all on brand. It's all the thin layer of bullshit. It's trying to just pull on your strings and make you feel a certain way. I don't need that. I don't need any of this orchestrated bullshit. The over the shoulder shot onto the phone. You know, we got the insert shot lined up here so that we could see the video with the burn in. This is ridiculous. How unsophisticated do you think Elon Musk's followers are? How do you really think this will be read by the American public? Because that's what this is all. It's all being videotaped. If Elon was just curious and he just needed to go over there and know for his, wouldn't he just go over there and know? No, it's all ready for the shot. Oh, we got all the focus marks, but all the lights are set. Oh, and the way he's holding his little hands there, and oh yeah, you see here, and they're all turned to it's ridiculous. Do you guys know that we have social media? Do you guys know what TikTok is? Do you know we can see right through you? We're all broadcasters now. We know what it is when you turn on the camera and point the lights. We can see through this charade. You're not fooling anyone. You're making it worse. At what point do we stop participating in the economy altogether? People are so sweet. I think it's awesome that people are like, I'm not paying my taxes this year. Guess what? As an American, it doesn't matter if you pay your taxes. They don't tax you through your taxes. You're barely taxed at all. We're poor. Our decisions don't matter. He's not worried that we think he's an anti-Semite. He's worried the rich billionaire and elite class think he's an anti-Semite. That's what he's worried about. He doesn't care whether we shop on Black Friday. Oh, we're not shopping on Black Friday. What will they do without our $200? It's irrelevant. We are irrelevant. You have to stop participating in the economy entirely. The price of goods goes up every time they print money. That's how they tax you. You know, when you go to the store and you're like, oh my God, everything's twice as much. Some guy on TikTok named Luke David Johnson told me 2 or 3 years ago that the price of everything was going to double or triple, and it has, because he understood economics. And I ignored him, and I laughed at him, and I said, inflation will never be that high. We'll get it under control. No, you won't. You'll keep printing money, because that's how you tax Americans. You tax Americans by printing money and losing trillions of dollars in the Pentagon budget and giving other countries trillions of our dollars. And we struggle every day to afford basic things like food, housing, and healthcare. We can't even afford the basics of life, working every day. But we're sending all our money to buy weapons, to line the pockets of big pharma or whatever organization happens to have controlled the politicians that got in at the time, because capitalism is not the problem. Corruption of our capitalist society is the problem. We are no longer a free market capitalist society with competition and control over monopolies. We are completely run like one giant crooked capitalist market. And these fools are at the top. That's why billionaires should be completely financially free, are over in a foreign country, kissing ass and begging to be forgiven for saying such crazy things like, hey, I think maybe the aid workers in Gaza need internet access. I'm going to give it to them. Or how about this wild one? How many Hamas terrorists do you create when you someone's innocent kid? Yeah, Elon said that. And now he's doing penance for it. This is unbelievable and sickening. Anybody with half a brain can see what's going on here. Please tell everyone you know and love what's going on. Have these tough talks.
Well,
Yeah, that was good.
You know, the point is that also there is this point that America, all Western countries are getting poorer. There are a lot of Americans who cannot afford, the number of homeless is going through the roof. And really, they tax us with the inflation. By printing and printing and printing money, this is the way, because, you know, if you have $10,000 and they keep printing money, next year, your $10,000 have a power to buy stuff that is like $9,000 or $8,000. So it's something that is so subtle. And they are doing that to us. They make us poor. He's right. It's not even the taxes, because the majority of people people who make less than 49,000. They don't pay a lot of taxes, but they tax us by printing and printing and printing and printing money. This is the central bank that is doing that. This is
I think
owned by the Jews.
Yeah, I think we're 33 trillion in debt in America, and it's by the printing those debt notes, that paper money, through the Federal Reserve, and it's debt. It's a debt usury economy, which the Jews love. They love the usury. They're known for that, right? And that will, you know, like he said, you go to the store, and you're seeing it doesn't reverse back. It keeps going up little by little. And I mean, you could barely get anything talk about eating healthy, right? So now it's cheaper, obviously, to go to a fast food place, the value menu, than it is to, you know, you want to go to the store, cook a healthy meal, good ingredients, that costs money. You know, those prices are going up, produce and vegetables and fruit. So it has a lot of effects beyond just even the money. It's like people are going to eat less healthy because it costs more expensive to eat healthy. It puts more stress on families, right? And then, you know, maybe the mother has to go work and the kids have to go to these government brainwashing centers called public schools, where they're going to learn how to hate their country. And they're going to learn that things that are not normal are normal, LGBTQ. So it has this like reverberating effect, and we're in huge debt. And the monies that should be going to help American citizens that are struggling with homelessness, American citizens, because the ones who aren't should be deported, is going towards these endless Middle Eastern wars on behalf of the Jew.
Ukraine, and now I think they passed a resolution in Congress 2 days ago that they are going to send 14 billion with the billion dollar to Israel, so they can get more bombs to destroy the Palestinians. And they are doing that on purpose. They are doing that on purpose to destroy us.
Yeah, because they want more Jews to go to Israel, so they need to clear more land, and then people have speculated that this whole thing with Ukraine and Russia is basically part of this greater Israel project.
Right.
Because Israel knows with what they have now, land-wise, they can only bring so many more Jews in. So they're clearing that land in Gaza. This is what it is. It's a genocide of these people. And what's scary is you have Christians in America, because they're, Zionists, cheerleading it on. Like the church has totally lost its soul here in America.
They lost their brain too.
Yeah, the brain, they've checked their brain at the door. That's the thing too, is that, and this is why go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead, finish.
Now, I was going to say, this is why a lot of nationalists are turned off by Christianity, right? And see, for me, because I look at these things and I can go to the Bible and prove that nationalism is biblical. It's biblical to have borders. But a lot of Christians don't know that. So they just listen to what they say here at their church, and they think that Christianity is this woke religion where we just have this unconditional, this toxic empathy towards everybody.
Toxic empathy, I love it. Toxic empathy is the good definition.
Yeah. And so now we're at this, the decision point for everybody individually. What are you going to do about it? And it could be in different ways. It's not all going to be the same for everybody. This is one thing, right? What we're doing is part of getting the word out to people. So that's a good thing. But this is the perfect time for men and women to rise up as heroes, because we're at a time where it looks darkest, but it's not impossible. We're going to win this. It's just going to take a lot of fight. It's going to be gritty, and we may not see the victory in our lifetime. It may be this, people after us, but that's okay. We're going to plant the seeds of restoring the Aryan worldview. Because I've read Mein Kampf and the Tom Dalton version, and he talks about this in his in the introduction to the book. He says it's basically, when you break it down, it's the Judeo world order, the Judeo worldview versus the Aryan worldview. The Judeo worldview is one of it hates nature, it hates beauty. And the Aryan worldview embraces nature, it embraces art, culture, beauty. The Aryan worldview is for the people. It's not this materialistic worldview. It's a spiritual worldview, whereas the Judeo worldview is very egotistical, very materialist. This is why even Karl Marx said that the god of Judaism is money. That's their god.
But the problem is that they weaponize envy. Because I believe, and this is a bad thing to say, that most non-white population hate white people because of envy, because of jealousy. And so this is very difficult to take away, because envy and jealousy is something so natural to humans. I don't know, I probably come from Mars, because I don't feel envy. I don't compare myself to others. But envy is something that is so natural to humans. So I don't think it's possible to take away this. If you notice, all non-white keep hating on white. Yeah.
And that's why you talk about envy. Just the fact that all these blacks now are claiming, oh, we're the Vikings. We were the Vikings. The show with this black Viking queen, and we were the Celts. It just shows envy. Because they know that their culture.
They want to be us. They want to be us.
Yeah.
They are envy is love and hate at the same time. It's someone that admire you, but at the same time they hate you because they would like to be you.
Yes.
And that's the reason I think it's not possible to take away this hate for white people, because it is rooted in envy.
I know, and you know what? I think back to in kindergarten when I got bullied by this one kid. Now I think, was he bullying me because I was like the lightest kid in the class? I was a bunch of
Really?
Yeah. So I'm thinking, is that why he bullied me? So now I've like, but I have experienced it later in life for sure, because I would go to workplaces and there's these Central Americans, Mexicans, very dark skinned people. And I could tell they had this, they were trying to, because I would get hired as a manager, right away. And I'm with work, these people are working for me, and I get feel the resentment big time, you know? And at that time I didn't understand. I just thought it was just regulars, they're just jealous. But now I know these people have a natural resentment, even the nice ones. It's a low-key resentment towards white people.
White people conquered the entire world, because if you look at history, king and queen were white people. At some point, white people had control of all the oceans in the world. And this was also in the Bible. It was the covenant, one of the covenant that God made with the Israelite. That's why I believe the Israelite in reality are the Europeans. Because one of those covenant was that God tell them, you will become numerous like the star in the sky. Jewish are only 2% of the world population, so it cannot be them. And also he said that your descendant will be king and queens, and you will be in control at some point of all the ocean on the planet. This is white people.
I agree with you. People did that. White people passed all the markers of who the Israelites were prophesied to be. They were, if you look at, it says that they would push to the east and the west and the north and the south, and they possessed the gates of their enemies. Well, even the enemies of white people say that, well, you guys took over the whole world, right? Well, that actually fulfills the promise given to Abraham. Right. They possess the gates of their enemies. They, like you said, kings and queens and multitude of nations, that they would preach, they would take the gospel to the nations, and it was white people who sent missionaries, who printed the Bibles, made Bible translations, created Bible societies, Christian nations. White people pass all the markers of being the Israelites, and even the way they're described in the Old Testament, they're described as white people. If you look at the language used of when it's describing Rebecca, it's, Isaac's wife, she's fair, white. What is bright? It's white.
Yeah, people from Nazareth were white like snow. That's written also in the Bible.
Yes, in Lamentations. Yes.
Yes, and also, who else? I wanted to say something. I have a short-term memory. That is 2 seconds. It's really, I forget it. No, and what else? There was something else they were saying about. Also written in the Bible that it said that. The Israelites at some point will forget who they are.
Yes.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that scripture where it says they were white as snow. It's funny because the Black Hebrew Israelites, there's in that very book, it says something about that their skin was blackened. But they don't read the context. It was black because of famine. Their skin turned dark because of famine. It was discoloring. So when these Black Hebrew Israelites point out a couple things, you go to the context. It says the Israelite skin, they were losing weight. They were skin and bones, and their skin turned black from famine. It wasn't because they were black. So I did this study, and yeah, you're right. They were whiter than milk. Their skin like ivory. And they were ruddy in body, meaning they were able to blush.
And also they blush. Adam, they have it's written in the Bible also, and they have the capacity to blush. Only white people can blush.
Yes.
No other race can blush.
Yeah, that's the hemoglobin. And the other races have, like the blacks, they have melanin, and then the Asians have carotene. So yeah, they cannot blush. The only time you'll see them blush is if they're mixed. They'll mix with, but other than that, it's white people,
But also the fact, they say they will forget who they are.
Yeah.
And because white have no idea. They have no idea. And also when he say, Jesus said, my people recognize my word. Mm-hmm. That the only people who embraced the word, the gospel, has been who? White people.
White people. And you look at the black churches, it's not real Christianity. All they cry about is, slave. It's called liberation theology. All they cry about is how bad they were treated. It's not even real Christianity. So you made a good point. It's white people that have received the word of Christ. They form nations under the kingship of Christ and laws under the kingship of Christ. And yeah, even here in Los Angeles, a lot of these churches, non-white churches, it's like they bring their gang culture into the church. Because a lot of these churches, like these Mexican churches, the people act like they're still in the gang culture. The gang culture is really big here in California. And so right.
I wanted to say something. Santeria. I went and I buy some candles. I don't buy stuff for Santeria, but I went to the supermarket and I found those candles. And I saw something that there was the Gabriel, Archangel Gabriel, and so the Virgin Mary. I like those things. I'm Catholic. And then they were Mexican, because here in Texas, they sell a lot of Mexican stuff in supermarket. And then there was La Santa Muerte.
Oh, the Day of the Dead.
And I was watching, say, how creepy is these things? La Santa Muerte, to me, I don't know what it is, but La Santa Muerte, to me, holy death is, and they worship that things, Mexican. It sounds like a demonic entity, La Santa Muerte. It's like, the representation. I had those candles with the archangels, Archangel Gabriel, they are so pretty. Santa Muerte is like a skeleton, and with this face of a skeleton is a death. Now you gotta tell me that this is not something pagan. This is they brought into Christianity an element of paganism, because I'm Catholic. I never heard before to enter in contact with the Mexican about Santa Muerte. It's a paganist.
I think what happens in Mexico, some of the Catholics mix in Catholicism with the native Indians, some of their practices. Yeah, I'm Catholic too. And I think that's what they do in Mexico. And not just Mexico, but even in Cuba and a lot of parts of Latin America, they'll mix in the native tribes, some of their practices with Catholicism.
Of course, this Santa Muerte is something coming from Santeria. You know that Santeria is witchcraft.
Yes.
Witchcraft is also really popular among non-white, because there is, in Brazil, they have something called macumba. That I had a friend from Brazil that he told me that when I told her about Santa Muerte, say it's like in Brazil, they have this macumba. And black magic in Africa, they use black magic. So there is this paganism, this worship for those deity that, in my opinion, are demonic entity. But this is a Santeria. You are right when you say that they bring their culture, because this is just something that pop up from my mind now. This Santa Muerte has nothing to do with the Catholic tradition, nothing to do, because Italians are Catholic in Italy. I never saw the Santa Muerte, and it's so creepy. It's so ugly, so creepy, it's scary.
Yeah,
exactly. And they worship these things.
Yeah, and that stuff, like you said, has nothing to do with Catholicism, because Italians don't practice it, the Irish Catholics don't, the Polish Catholics don't. And, and then, like I said, in Mexico and Central America, they bring a lot of these demonic tribal practices and they mix it in with Catholicism. And that's why I believe those countries are the way they are. Yeah.
I heard someone told me that Africa is so poor. I don't know if it's true. It's because they practice a lot of black magic. In Africa, they do a lot of black magic. They have these these doctor shamanos that they kidnap little children and they kill them to create, they do horrible things in Africa. And it's all for this, they use a lot of black magic against their enemies, you know, with the I don't know, the little doll, no? You've seen horror movie, the little doll with they do all those stuff.
Yeah,
and Jewish too. Jewish too.
Yeah, the Kabbalah, yeah, that's the Jewish have their witchcraft, and you talk to some Jews, they admit it, you know. But like in Africa, I know the Seventh-day Adventist Church, they send missionaries out there, and they're concerned because after they convert them and baptize them, they go back like a year and a half later as a follow-up, and they say basically 2/3 of them go back to their old pagan religion. The word doesn't hold to them.
It doesn't stick to them. That's what Jesus meant when they say, my people recognize my word.
Yes.
So these people, it means nothing to them, because when they go there, the missionary, maybe because they give them some food or something, so they pretend. But as soon the missionary leave, they go back to their culture. There is nothing wrong with that. I'm not criticizing. I respect their freedom to follow everything they want. I don't have the desire to impose them my culture. It's just an observation. Those people, the word of Jesus doesn't stick with them.
That's right. And when I was mentioning earlier about turning the other cheek, maybe that only works among, you know, fellow in white Christian nations. Like, we can turn the other cheek to each other because we don't have to worry about getting hit in the head with the bottle right when we turn. And it really is talking about insults, right? Jesus turn the other cheek. It's talking about insults, but in like around white communities, you can have that type of mindset. You know what? I'm going to turn the other cheek. They offended me, but he's my brother, right? But then you go to some of these communities, you turn the other cheek, man, you're getting a bottle over your head and dragging.
They stab you in the back. You know, it wasn't Jesus who said, sell what you have and buy a sword.
Yes, he said that, yeah.
He said that. So, you know, in the end, is like some BS, all these... turn the other cheek probably is inside the group of your brother, of your sisters.
Right.
But the Christianity is also defend. And also he said that Christians are bold like lions when they are really in the faith, because if God is with me, who can be against me?
Amen. When you look at the Catholic Church throughout the centuries, they're the ones who held back the onslaught of the Muslims. Europe stayed white because the Catholics defended Europe and fought the sword against the Muslims.
They stopped the invasion of Muslims in Vienna, and it was Charles Martel who was the father of Charlemagne. And Charlemagne has been a big king that bring Christianity all around Europe. After the Europe was a mess. After the Roman Empire fall, it was a mess. Anyway, yes, it's fascinating. It's really fascinating to see all these things and see also what is going on in our society. Last question, and then I'll let you go. Do you think all this mess is happening because we are turning away from God, from the principle taught to us by God? Yes,
because that's when I when I go through history in the last several decades, that's when I began to notice a rapid drop in morals. The whites have been demoralized since then. And I think it seems like it coincides with the loss of Christian morals in our country and getting away from that.
But you know what is a problem? I like to talk. I let you go, I promise. My last things. The problem is that even in the past, when there was the religion everywhere, there are those, I call them fake Christians, that they are terrorists. They go around because Jesus Christ said, who is without sin through the first stone.
Right.
You know, the problem is that there are those pseudo-Christians, that there are no real Christians to me, they are terrorists, that go around, they are so mean in judging other people. So how is possible to put those two, how is possible to resolve this cognitive dissonance? to go back to the principle of the church, but without these entitled, stupid, ignorant Christians who use it to judge, to put down people instead of helping them. How do you think it's possible to do it without this judgmental part of some pseudo-Christian?
Well, the thing that comes to the top of my head right now is what National Socialist Germany, they called it positive Christianity, because they were trying to bridge the two, the Protestants and the Catholics, together and not have this fight, you know. And I think it's to also, obviously going back to the principles of Jesus, like you said, Jesus said, do not cast, who has no sin, cast the first stone. And he says he didn't come to judge, he came to save. He didn't come to destroy lives, he came to save people. So obviously holding to the teachings of Jesus, but as a people, maybe saying, and I've gotten better at this myself, is not having division with other Christians over, well, you're a Baptist, I'm Catholic, or you're this or that, trying to have unity.
You're bad, I'm good.
Yeah. And awesome. Recognizing that we have to get back to that, like people call it the Aryan biospirit, a pure and noble, be pure. Think of your brothers and sisters, think good thoughts of them. Like it says, to the pure, all things are pure, thinking the best of them. We have to get back to that pure and noble spirit.
Right.
You know?
And also teach by examples.
Yes.
Because it's easy to point the finger, you. No, show me you. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
I think it's very beautiful what you say, to go back to this tradition of nobility.
Yes.
Of acting with. Don't be petty, don't be low. And also I think in this tradition of nobility, it fit well the principle of freedom. I love freedom. I have freedom in every name that I have on the internet. There is freedom. So, because when you love freedom truly, you cannot be judgmental. Because when you love freedom, you also love the freedom of others.
Yes.
So the freedom is reciprocal. It's not only for me. It would be hypocritical. I want to say what I want and be myself, but I will fight to the end because you can do the same. Even if you disagree with me, even if you criticize me, I want you to be able to do so. And this is pure freedom. And so when you love freedom truly, you cannot be judgmental because you accept the freedom of that person to be who they want to be.
Yeah, so true. And then you never know, down the line, you guys may come in agreement. So leave the bridge built so that you don't burn a bridge. Because I've had people contact me years later. Oh, Solomon, you were right on that. Or I've done it maybe to people. You know, at the time we disagreed very strongly, but then they come back later. So you always got to try to leave that opening to where you guys can, maybe you're going to go a separate way for a little bit, but don't judge them and be mean to them because you can come back. You never know. I just recently had that with some guy. Some guy reached out to me. We were friends. We had a sharp disagreement because he's like a libertarian, like anarchist type of guy. And so we had a strong disagreement because I'm kind of more on the National Socialist side. But I said, you know what? He's a good white man. He has a lot of good qualities in him. So we don't have to fight over all the little idiosyncrasies. I'm going to see the good in him that he brings to the table, and hopefully he sees the good in me. That's how you have to look at it.
Unfortunately, yes. So, well, it was very nice talking to you. I wanted to do 1 hour. We did 1 hour and a half. Anyway, it was really interesting. And, well, we wanted to talk about Trump, you know, then the conversation take a life on its own. But it was very interesting anyway. And we touched many points about the Christian religion, that Catholicism, that is very interesting. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Laura, and pleasure being on your show. And it's always awesome. And just let me know when you want to do another one. And
yeah. Thank you so much. Good night. Bye.
Good night, Laura. Bye. Have a great night. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Blessings, and I'll probably be having more discussions with her, and I'll be posting them here. Salute from the Kingdom of the Son of God in the Coachella Valley. And praise Jesus Christ, so now reigning Davidic King.